at 20 years old.
It's my mentality since I've been a little kid. I think, my favorite thing to watch as a little kid were the war movies like 300, Troy, Gladiator. My dad made me train since a little kid and like some crazy workouts since a little kid, and I always gravitated towards that. So every time I look at boxing, I don't look at it as a sport. I see it as kill or be killed.
With Cinco de Mayo weekend approaching, attention is slowly building toward one of the most anticipated bouts of 2026, even though it has not received the spotlight it likely deserves. David Benavidez is stepping up to cruiserweight in pursuit of a championship in an entirely different division. Standing in his path is Zurdo Ramirez, a serious obstacle to what could become a career-defining achievement that secures a place in boxing history. This is far from a straightforward assignment for the self-proclaimed Mexican monster, as he is entering unfamiliar ground against naturally larger opponents. Still, his recent interviews show a striking level of belief in his own abilities. Benavidez has been speaking boldly about stopping top names, and his confidence suggests he is not just talking but truly dangerous. With his blend of hand speed and punching strength, he remains capable of breaking down any opponent in front of him.
Make sure you guys count. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. 2 seconds. Go. 5 seconds. 5. How many?
What you just saw was a cruiserweight displaying sharp hand speed and quick movement. If that same version of the Mexican monster shows up against Zurdo, many would assume he takes the win without much resistance. But reading too much into training clips is a common trap people fall into when evaluating fighters. In reality, those sessions don't always translate to fight night conditions. Benavidez relies heavily on explosive strength and intensity, while Zurdo builds his game around precision, timing, and technical control.
I think he will do great because he's a big guy, he's strong. It's interesting to see him in 175. I mean, I want to see him with the best, and I think he can be a world champion. He's my friend, but in the ring, we want to fight with the best, right? And he's one of the best, and I want to fight with the best too. It will be exciting in the ring because he's two Mexicans in the ring. I mean, it's exciting, and I have a lot of respect for him, for his family, the dad, and I know them, all of them will be training for so many years, but I mean, we agreed to fight each other, but eventually I think will happen.
Zurdo Ramirez is not expected to be an easy night for the Mexican monster. He is also not someone who usually steps into media interviews, but he recently made an appearance after being invited by Andre Ward to discuss the upcoming showdown. During the conversation, he reflected on the background between both fighters and explained how this matchup eventually came together. He even suggested that their past sparring sessions felt like main event level fights, almost like pay-per-view bouts, and said the upcoming Cinco de Mayo clash is shaping up to be a real battle. Ramirez showed no concern about Benavidez being familiar with his style, instead making it clear he is ready to adapt and still bring his strongest performance. He assured fans that he intends to deliver an exciting contest and turn the night into something unforgettable.
You guys got history, and I'm going to get into the history in just a second, but how did this fight get made with you and David Benavidez?
Well, I think it'd be a war. We've been working a long time before, but I think as a fighter, we grew up, we did our different paths, but he's one of the greatest, I'm one of the greatest, and I think it'd be just a war. It's exciting for this fight.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, the first time that you guys sparred was your training camp for your first world title against Arthur Abraham at 168, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So how did those rounds go, or how does the sparring go when you and David Benavidez get in there?
Well, it was a pay-per-view sparring, and then we knew one day we would fight each other, and I told him we need to make this fight happen one day, and because, I mean, it was a pay-per-view.
This is my last one for now, and I'm going to let Roy ask a question, but I never wanted to spar guys that I thought I might fight, right? You can never fully predict it. You never know how things are going to go, but that time is here now for you. He knows a lot about you. You know a lot about him. How are you going to make this work, and how do you fight a guy that has so many sparring rounds under his bag with you?
Well, I think it's different on the small gloves and no headgear. I think it'd be an amazing fight. And then, I mean, I want to put a great show. He want to put a great show. Both of us, we want to be a greatest. And then this is the fight that the boxing need to make it, right? This is the fight that all the fans need to see.
So you're not worried about the sparring?
No.
At 34 years old, Zurdo stepping into the ring with someone as destructive as the Mexican monster can look like a risky call on paper. Still, he pushed back against the idea that age is slowing him down, brushing off the usual wear and tear that comes with hard sparring and suggesting he still feels near his best, with several competitive years potentially ahead. He pointed out that after 2 decades in boxing, his body is used to the demands of preparation, making fight camps less of a shock than they might be for others. Ramirez also opened up about his coaching setup and daily work, highlighting the effort being put into refining his physical condition and sharpening his overall skill set. Opportunities like this don't come around often at this stage of a career, and Zurdo seems determined not to let the moment pass him by.
How do you feel at 34 years of age, you know, and how is training camp different than maybe when you were in your 20s?
Well, it's been long ride in this sport. I've been in 20 years in this sport, and I feel amazing. I feel like I'm on my prime, but I think sooner or later I need to slow down on because my age too.
But do you feel like you're slowing down, or do you feel like you're right in your prime?
No, I feel right on my prime. Yeah. Strong, faster, I put a lot of hard work, and I feel really great.
Your coach, man, you've been with Julian Chua for a very long time, and what makes him good as a coach, and why does that relationship work with you two?
I mean, he's a smart guy, and we always have a good a chat, and then he's different because he has a lot of hungry to be like a manufacturer trainer, and he wants to be big in this sport. That it makes you like for us it's like good matching, because I want to be great, he want to be great, then we put a lot of hard work in the gym, and then he's really intelligent guy.
Did anybody ever hurt anybody in the sparring?
Not really. Not really.
Not even body shots?
No.
No
body shot.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
But I mean, if it will be an amazing fight. I don't think we will need a ref in this fight, because we're gonna throw a lot of punches, and it'd be a war.
Zurdo Ramirez has made it clear he expects a violent, high-intensity fight and has already described the matchup as a full-scale war. On the other side, Roy Jones Jr. offered a detailed breakdown of how the fight could play out between both men. In his view, David Benavidez should transition to cruiserweight without major issues, pointing out that his natural walking weight is already close to that division. Jones added that because Benavidez often trains above the 200-pound mark, the move up in class is unlikely to slow him down physically. When assessing the styles, he acknowledged Benavidez's non-stop pressure and high-output approach, but also suggested there are still questions about how that style holds up against the right opponent. He emphasized that Zurdo Ramirez's extensive sparring experience with Benavidez could be a key factor, giving him rare familiarity with his rhythm and tendencies. According to Jones, that inside knowledge might be what helps Zurdo uncover ways to counter Benavidez's pressure, essentially believing Ramirez has the kind of insight that could crack the puzzle.
This big cruiserweight showdown that we got May 2nd, it's about a week and a half out, between three-time world champion Zurdo Ramirez and three-time world champion David Benavidez. Zurdo was once a super middleweight champion. He moved up to light heavy, and now he's at cruiser. And David Benavidez has pretty much terrorized the super middleweight and light heavyweight division just because of his height, his reach, his style, the pressure, the toughness, everything that he brings to the ring. But now David Benavidez is going up to cruiserweight, and I got questions about that jump from light heavy to cruiser. That's probably the only jump in weight that you haven't done, right? Light heavy to cruiser. But how is that in your mind, and how's that going to either help or hurt David Benavidez? And then how do you see this matchup? I see one guy has a certain gear, another guy has another type of gear, but that doesn't mean that the guy with the higher gear is going to win. Talk to me about this matchup between Zurdo Ramirez and David Benavidez.
Well, the first thing is Dave Benavidez always was a bigger guy. Mm-hmm. You know, he always came down to the weight class that he made. So him carrying 200 is nothing new to his body. He's used to that. His body is used to that. He's been there several times before. So I think the weight problem is definitely not an issue with David Benavidez. Zurdo, however, has basically carried himself up there too. And he's done well already. He's world champ, 2 world titles as a cruiserweight. So that's saying a lot about him too. And I just feel like both guys can carry the weight properly because of their build, their stature. I think both of them will do well carrying the weight. Zurdo, I have not seen Zurdo really deal with a volume puncher like Benavidez before. But the good thing for Zurdo is that because he sparred with him before, he has the insight on him already. They have insight on each other. So one thing that I don't think we've seen from David is a guy who has sparred with him, who knew him already. Most guys are overwhelmed when they see him and see the volume and see the size. They're completely overwhelmed by it. Zurdo, on the other hand, knows it. Now, we've seen Zurdo suffer defeat before, so we know Zurdo can be beat. We know that that riddle can be solved. We have not seen anybody solve the Benavidez riddle yet. Right. So for me, Zurdo has to prove that he can solve the riddle because we know his riddle has been solved before, and if anybody that can resolve it again is a person who knows him and has been in the ring with him already, which is Benavidez. So that's how I see it going.
Andre Ward also brought up some important doubts about Benavidez's move up to cruiserweight, questioning whether his usual pace, volume punching, and conditioning would translate the same way at a heavier division. He pointed out that while certain fighters improve when they gain weight, others end up losing the very traits that made them dominant in the first place. For Benavidez, those traits are his speed and footwork, which have always been central to his success. Even with those concerns, Ward still recognized that Benavidez holds advantages in age and overall wear, especially when compared to Zurdo Ramirez. In the end, Ward slightly leaned toward Benavidez, estimating it around a 60-40 or 65-35 edge. He based that view on Benavidez's unbeaten record and his tendency to gradually break opponents down both mentally and physically as the fight progresses.
I think the question that I have about David Benavidez is how you going to carry that weight. Is the volume still going to be as fast and as loud and as strong as it normally is, right? How's your conditioning going to be? Because all move-ups are not the same. Sometimes people move up and it's like, man, that weight class fits you just right. You should have moved up a long time ago. Then other times it's like you're not the same. You're not the same fighter up here as you were down there. So that's the question I have with Benavidez. How's he going to carry that weight? Is the volume going to be the way that it was previously at super middleweight, light heavyweight? And is the conditioning going to be there? If it is, he's go ahead, talk to me.
Most of his training is at that weight.
Yeah, over 200, really. Over 200,
exactly.
Really. Yeah.
Most of his training is at that weight. How could he possibly not carry it? How could he do all of his training pretty much at that weight? So how could he? Exactly. So how could he not be the same
sometimes,
guy?
man. That's like that with everybody.
Not for him.
Everybody cutting
Not for him. Yeah, but not for him. He's cutting differently.
Well,
You know what I'm saying? He's been a big guy the whole time.
We gonna see.
Okay.
Right?
If you ever see him outside of a fight, you understand that this dude, this is nothing for him. So
I'm guessing, but he might get
210,
215 or something like that. Maybe more. He just got a big frame.
I think he gets bigger.
Yeah, he got a big frame. So this may be the sweet spot for him. This may be just where he needs to be. But he's got the age advantage. He's younger. He's 29 years old. He's got less miles.
That's the big thing.
Right?
Yep.
He has never been beaten. So anytime you've been knocked down or beat, that you wear that. That's a scar you got to wear. He don't have that scar going into this fight.
None.
But Zurdo does. I like Zurdo's style. He's tall, he's rangy, and he's steady and consistent. He's got good punch selection. He's got good pop. I mean, he's a 3-time world champion for a reason. So if Zurdo Ramirez can weather those storms without taking too much punishment and getting hit too much and keep that thing tight into the back half of the stretch, he's got a shot to try to implement his style, which is pressure and just that grinding presence. But he also can box when he wants to as well. And I want to see how much he boxes and how much he fights, because in our interview with him, it sounded like he want to do both all at the same time. And you can't do both all at the same time. You got to choose when to box and when to slug. And for David Benavidez, man, can he conquer another weight class? Can he go out there and become a 2-time cruiserweight champion and then a 5-time world champion on this Cinco de Mayo weekend just for one fight and one fight alone? That's the questions we have. So I don't have a prediction, but I think it's going to be a great fight that I give David Benavidez a slight edge to, right? This is a 60-40 situation for me, maybe a little bit more in his favor, maybe 65-35, but that's just because he hasn't lost. We haven't seen that blueprint. And even if guys have good rounds, they don't have good fights against him. Ultimately, they wear down mentally, physically, emotionally, and David Benavidez takes over, and he ultimately stops guys or beats them up and gets his hand raised. Will that happen again against 2-time cruiserweight champion Zurdo Ramirez on Cinco de Mayo?
Professional boxer Jesse Hart offered a detailed take on the matchup, pointing first to David Benavidez's advantages in hand speed and his ability to throw punches in high volume. At the same time, he described Benavidez more as a fighter who accumulates damage through consistent shots rather than someone relying on single-shot knockout power. However, Hart also cautioned against overlooking Zurdo Ramirez's physical strength and overall size, especially given the challenge of facing a naturally bigger southpaw. He questioned whether Benavidez would be able to keep the same level of pressure and output after moving up to cruiserweight. In his view, the fight comes down to a physical and momentum-based struggle, with both men capable of taking control at different stages. While he slightly leans toward Benavidez to win, Hart stressed that the outcome may ultimately depend on which fighter is willing to impose his will more strongly on the night.
He can punch, and that's something to look out for. I believe that Benavidez's speed, his hand speed, and how many punches he throws is going to be the difference in this fight. You know, he's not a hard puncher, he's a volume puncher. That's what we don't know about David Benavidez. He's not a really, really hard, but he beats you up. He beats you up, and the punches do sting, and they wear you down. I'm curious to see how Zurdo Ramirez is going to handle that. Is he going to get wore down by the 6th or the 7th, by the volume and the pace? Or is he going to be able to sustain his own momentum with his own pace and put the power on Benavidez to hurt him? This is cruiserweight. I want to see, can he hurt Benavidez? I have yet to see Benavidez hurt, except for when he fought the guy from
Ronald Garfield. He was kind of a baby back then.
He was kind of a kid. He was kind of a kid. He was kind of a kid. But I want to see if the weight is going to be a much factor on Benavidez because of the size of Zurdo Ramirez. Zurdo Ramirez is a very, very big guy. And such as David Benavidez, I just want to see, this is body for body, tail for tail. This is evened up to me. As far as the mass, as far as the weight, as far as Gilberto is coming forward too. We saw that with Bivol. He's still in the ad, but again, he's southpaw. I'm curious to see how Benavidez is going to deal with a big southpaw. He dealt with a little southpaw in Demetrius Andrade. But now I'm curious to see how he deals with Zurdo Ramirez.
Abner Mares didn't commit to picking a winner for this matchup, but he did caution fans against underestimating either Zurdo Ramirez or David Benavidez. In his view, both fighters bring enough skill and physical tools to produce a highly competitive fight. He suggested that neither man will have an easy night, expecting the contest to be demanding and drawn out for both sides.
Now let's talk about another fight that's coming to here to Las Vegas in a couple of months. Let's talk about Zurdo versus David Benavidez. Not only that card, but the fact that Oscar Duarte is fighting Fierro as well. It's an all-Mexican card, and it looks fantastic on paper. Let's talk about that.
Listen, that fight, that card itself, it's just top to bottom, flawless. This is so good. Zurdo Ramirez against David Benavidez. People cannot fall asleep on Benavidez. Benavidez is a good fighter. Benavidez is a big guy. Benavidez can take good punches as well. So I think that fight's going to be really interesting. It's not going to be as easy as people think for Benavidez.
Most of the boxing community is leaning toward David Benavidez securing a comfortable win over Zurdo Ramirez, and his camp has been reinforcing that confidence throughout the fight buildup. Jose Benavidez Sr. has publicly backed his son, highlighting the significance of Cinco de Mayo weekend for Mexican and Hispanic fans in the United States and framing the occasion as a major stage for David to shine. He stressed that the entire team has been working intensely in preparation and intends to leave nothing unaddressed before fight night. David himself pointed to his strong recent performances as the source of his momentum, insisting that the same level of form will carry into this bout on May 2nd. With strong support from his family and fanbase behind him, he made it clear that his ambition of becoming a boxing legend remains the driving force pushing him toward the result he expects.
Expecting against Zurdo this upcoming fight.
He's going to get a beating, man. These guys have been sacrificed in all their lives, going through a lot, and that's why Mike Tyson called them Mexican monster, because that's what they are, Mexican monster. He's a monster, and I think he's just going to destroy Zurdo Ramirez. Cinco de Mayo weekend is a very special day for Mexicans and Hispanics, and we got to represent, and we can't just win the fight. We got to look impressive in order to go fight, be Bo Benavidez and all the bigger fighters.
Right. Are you predicting? So Dad is saying you're gonna whip ass.
I think I'm gonna say right now. I think he's gonna stop Zurdo Ramirez, so they're gonna have to stop the fight like in the 9-10 round.
Are you predicting a knockout as well?
Yeah, bro. I've been working extremely hard. I think the momentum has definitely shifted. The past 4 fights, with Caleb Plant, Boo Boo Andre, David Morrell, Anthony Yard. I've been getting more experience. I've been working extremely hard, and I've been, beating the top guys. You know what I mean? So there's just a lot of stuff coming into this. I got a lot of good momentum. You know what I mean? I'm training harder than ever. I got my 3 kids. I got my wife. I got everybody that supports me. So I have a great support system. I'm really motivated. I'm really hungry for this, and I want to become the face of boxing. And the only way that gets done is, getting a great win with a great performance against Zurdo Ramirez. But I definitely do see myself on another level than all these guys, and I think I've been showing that with the.
This is a huge matchup for both men involved. David Benavidez is chasing legacy and looking to establish dominance in a higher weight class where everything is still unproven for him. On the other side, a win for Zurdo Ramirez would keep him in the spotlight for a long stretch and reshape how he is viewed in the sport. At 34. This could realistically be one of Zurdo's final chances to reach that elite level, and it's expected he'll commit everything he has to the occasion. Still, the question remains whether Benavidez can rise into true superstardom and establish himself as the new leading figure in boxing. What's your prediction for this fight? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future uploads. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.